First up this hour, they say they're a group of citizens from all walks of life who have banded together to be the voice of the people and ensure the lowest power rates possible. They call themselves the Lower Power Rates Alliance, and spokesman Todd McDonald joins us on the phone here this afternoon. Todd, good afternoon.
Hey, good afternoon, Rick. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you, sir?
Great, thank you.
Well, what's prompted this? What's brought this all about? Who are you people?
Well, as you said, we're a group of citizens from a bunch of different walks of life, and we've got a very simple mission that we've come together to try and accomplish. And, Rick, that's just simply to make sure every Nova Scotian that pays a power bill, every business, every family, gets the lowest possible rate. We've got the highest rates in Canada right now, and while other provinces are bringing the rates down, ours are committed to going up for quite some time now, and then locking in at the all-time high. So we got a very simple mission. It's just to be the voice for the average person. But
you want to get us to the lowest power rates possible. How are you going to accomplish that?
Well, I think one of the first issues that's already on the table is Muskrat Falls. And we've got to ensure that Muskrat Falls is reviewed the right way. It's a project that's $4.5 billion of money that will be spent by Nova Scotians. And just to give you a little perspective on that, for a family of four, if you were to divide that by our population of 1 million, that'd be $18,000 per family. So our first issue is to come together and produce fact-based information on Muskrat Falls and make sure that all the alternatives are reviewed.
Well, we know that the Dexter government did hire an independent consultant to look at a couple of options as compared to Muskrat Falls, Quebec Hydro being one, and a combined wind power natural gas effort is the second. Did that not go far enough for you guys?
Well, I don't think it was a truly independent study. It's nothing against the person that did it, but it only looked at two options, and that was specifically mandated by the Dexter government. They said, we want you to study this project, but we only want you to compare it to two. Well, if I'm the one paying for it, you know, as a customer, and you and I are paying for it, I would ask, please, Mr. Premier and everybody else, that you look at more than two options. And I would also suggest that if you're going to look at only two options, that you should call the other proponent. You know, we can get electricity from Hydro-Quebec, but we never bothered to engage them in a realistic discussion. To the point that they've actually now said they may or may not come and intervene in the process.
Well, and I understand that your group might try or apply to be interveners when the Utility and Review Board begins its hearings on this whole subject.
That's a distinct possibility, and at the very least, we have a very talented group that's been researching this project for 3 months. I think we're one of few groups that's probably read all couple thousand pages. And I think the way we look at it is that, you know, this is the most we've ever paid for electricity in our history right now, and we pay the highest in Canada. And this project is saying, hey, let's raise your rates for 5 or 10 more years, and then when we get there, while everybody else is going down, we're going to lock you in for 35 years. And we think the impact to our economy is enormous. It puts people into poverty. It costs jobs in our rural economies. It puts businesses out of business.
But you're sounding like you're against the Muskrat Falls project. Is that the case?
I'm not against the Muskrat Falls project. I'm against the deal that was negotiated on our behalf. And it wasn't negotiated by us. It was negotiated by Emera, and it locks us into rates for a minimum of 5 or 10 more years. They're going down everywhere else. It's got the potential to be devastating to our economy. And, Rick, it's way more energy than we even need. It's way more electricity than we even need. And the price we're paying for it is extremely high relative to what other parts of say, North America are paying. And not only that, but Nova Scotians will pay for the most expensive piece, and then all the other pieces that are going to be available from it, New Brunswick and PEI and New England, all those people are going to have access to the cheap stuff. So I'm just saying for Nova Scotians, you know, how is that fair?
Well, the question that I could keep getting asked in regards to this whole Muskrat Falls thing is what is the cost going to be on our power bills? And this is something that nobody's been able to tell us yet.
Right. And can you imagine going to shop for a product and being told this is the best product ever? You have to buy this product. You can only look at 2 others, but we can't really tell you how much you're going to pay for it. And one of the things that really got to me that I would like everybody to understand is the price that's been quoted is $1.5 billion. Now, Rick, that sounds like a lot of money, but when the filing finally came out on last Monday, when you add in all the other things that we have to pay for, the interest charges, taxes, and you have to pay to operate it once it's up and running. The real number, and this is according to Emera, is $4.5 billion. So I would say, you know, why wasn't the other $3 billion being mentioned all along?
You write in your release that you're urging people to contact their MLAs and tell them to slow the process down, make sure we get it right, and, quote, restore the full power of the utility board. Elaborate a bit on that. Are you concerned that the utility board does not have the full authority to put an end to this project, for example?
Absolutely. We're 100% concerned, and I think every Nova Scotian should be, because our government, for some reason, passed a set of special laws just for this project, and it severely restricts and inhibits the Utility and Review Board from having the normal power that they would. And in one of the sets of regulations, it says the UARB must approve this project if it meets the conditions defined by the government. Well, that's not oversight when you tell the oversight body that you have to approve it if it meets the conditions I give you. The UARB is set up to protect the customers of Nova Scotia Power, and it's a very important body. And so we don't like to see it interfered with for any project, let alone one that's, you know, $4.5 billion.
I fear that this Muskrat Falls and our role in it is a done deal. I'm not sure there's any way out of it. Do you know of a way?
I do, and it's for the people to speak up. You know, our own Justice Minister was quoted yesterday, and he said, you know, the people of Nova Scotia, they spoke up regarding the alcohol issues that were going on and whether or not we could have some, and they said, you know what, we listened. So, yeah, you can never underestimate the power of the people, Rick, never. And we shouldn't. That's what a democracy is about. And, yeah, there is a way to change it. It's to pick up the phone, write an email, send a note, call your MLA, because I'm seeing an awful lot of businesses, large and small, that seem to be against this process, and nobody seems to know the answer to one question. Why do we have to rush it? Why 6 months? Like, if you remember me talking about those special laws, one of the special laws is they said you only get 6 months.
Yeah.
Well, why don't we give them the time that they need? They're the experts.
Interesting talk here. Todd, thank you very much. We'll see where this all heads.
Thanks a lot, Rick. Appreciate it.
You too, sir. Bye-bye. It's the Hour of Outrage. 405-6000, 1-877-801-8255. Hi, Patrick. What's on your mind this afternoon?
How are you, Rick?
I'm well, sir.
I just got a couple of points I want to address, Rick, on the UARB, the whole Muskrat Falls deal. I found it interesting. I was listening to you driving back from Cape Breton the other day when you were talking to Andrew Younger on the UARB hearings. And basically the question came up and you asked him, do you think the UARB can do anything about Muskrat Falls?
Can they stop it? I don't think they can. Well, I think it's just going to be a rubber stamp here. Which is
part of my point. I mean, John Merrick, who is the advocate for us, basically, you know, is a very sharp guy. I watched him join the Westray inquiry when he was the legal there, and I thought he was a very, very clever guy. But every time anything seems to go to the UARB, it is exactly as you said, rubber stamped.
Yeah.
Now, actions certainly speak louder than words, and I would say that to Mr. Merrick and what's going to happen. My second point I would like to make is Muskrat Falls is a huge deal. It's nearly $2 billion that's going to cost Nova Scotians and ratepayers. This wasn't an election issue for the NDP, and they're basically trying to jam it down our throat to sign on to it. You know, if it's such a big deal to the NDP and to Nova Scotia, make an election issue. What is the rush to rush us into a deal of almost $2 billion that nobody seems to know what it's going to do to power rates unless you believe Nova Scotia Power and the NDP? And, you know, their election issues were a balanced budget and no new taxes. So,
yeah. And how do they do on that one?
Well, exactly. Yeah. And I mean, what's the rush in driving this home to us? It's like, you know, if we can save any money, and we've been preached that for the last number of years, is, you know, conserve, we got to change our light bulbs, we got to do all these things. What has it gotten us? Everybody's changed their light bulbs. Everybody's made their house more efficient. Everybody's conserved electricity and energy.
Rates go up.
Exactly. So all they're doing is taking what electricity we're not using, selling it off and making more money. I mean, make it an election issue. If this is so important to everybody in Nova Scotia and to the NDP and to Nova Scotia Power, let Nova Scotians finally have a chance to speak up and say if you are in on this deal or you're not in on this deal.
Well, I like what New Brunswick is suggesting here, David Alward.
Exactly.
He's talking about a referendum on whether he should increase the HST and put in road tolls. Yeah, that's a significant thing he's asking the New Brunswickers. It's a very big decision, and I agree. Why aren't we being asked about some...
Yeah. They're getting the opportunity. It's just like, ironically, the HST, apparently we all agreed that we needed to pay more in the HST when they went around to back the balance. So, give Nova Scotians the opportunity to choose our course and our own faith and let the people have, for the first time, a stand.
Well said, Patrick. Got to go. Thanks, you. Rick. Let's go to Mike next here this afternoon. Hey, Mike.
Hello, Rick. How you doing?
I'm doing great.
I'm kind of in the same conversation in reference to the gentleman who just left off the phone. The reason why this is getting thrown down our throats, reference to the Muskrat Falls deal, is everybody in this province knows when Mr Dexter goes to election, he must well pack his bags and leave the country because he's not going to get back in.
You don't think he's got a hope?
If he does, then the people of Nova Scotia get what he deserves. Now, the reason why they're pushing this down, because once Nova Scotia Power or America gets this deal, they got it all roped up, and there's no one else can come in this province and change it, and that's why they're trying to run it down people's throats because Mr. Dexter's looking for a job.
I hear what you're saying here, but, that's not quite right because they're looking to get us off foreign oil. We import, I think, 60% reliance on oil. Maybe it's even larger than that. And what they're trying to do is get us off oil. So they, they've got their eggs in wind power. They're looking at the tidal power. And this Muskrat Falls thing came along, and they said hallelujah. But to me, I'm not convinced yet until I actually see some numbers that show me how much this is going to cost me in my power bill. I'm not so keen on this. I still am in favor of Quebec Hydro. I like to get more details from Quebec Hydro on some of the deals that they're signing. They've apparently got an abundance of cheap hydroelectricity. They're willing to sell it again at a cheap price. Why aren't we looking at that more than what we're looking at than Muskrat Falls? That's mine.
I don't know, Rick, in general, but again, I agree with the gentleman. If the NDP wants this done, let's bring in an election or go back to what New Brunswick is doing and bring in a referendum and let the people decide, not just the people who we voted to go in and do this.
Thanks for the call, Mike.